be your first introduction, so can you tell them your name and maybe you can also shout your country that you're presenting. All right.
Sheridan Mortlock, Australia!
Alright, okay, thank you. Alright, so before we begin our press conference, we sit down. So Sheridan, I would like to ask first, how are you doing today?
I am very well, thank you. I'm enjoying the Philippines a lot so far. I've been here for a couple of days now, nearly a week, and I'm enjoying experiencing the different Filipino foods. I tried some Jollibee, I tried some Filipino snacks, and I've got much more to try yet.
Okay, so of all of the things that you ate so far in the Philippines, what's your favorite?
I'm gonna have to say it's a tie between the Jollibee spaghetti and the pillows.
Alright, so you love the Jollibee spaghetti. And Sheridan, can you tell the press, how long have you been here in the Philippines so far? Like, how many days have you been here?
So I arrived the 29th of October. It's been a whirlwind. It feels like I've been here for a month and also for a day. And so I got to explore around a little bit in Manila, which was beautiful, and I can't wait to explore more with all of my Miss Earth sisters. And then I've been under the protection of Pro Media. We'll be doing some training to get me ready and hopefully bring home Australia's first Miss Earth crown.
Alright, so, okay, I'm gonna ask the very first hard-hitting question. I'm pretty sure the press would love to hear your answer to this. Of all of the beauty pageants, why did you decide to join Miss Earth?
So Miss Earth Australia was actually my first big pageant that I've ever done. I joined that in 2019, and at the time I didn't know anything about pageants. They're not very big in Australia, especially compared to the Philippines, and I've absolutely loved being here in such a pageant-loving country. And so I joined Miss Earth and I got runner-up in that, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is something that I'm actually, good at. I should give it another go. And so I googled more pageants, and so there was like World and Universe, but I knew that my true passions were with the environment. As I'm studying global sustainability, and the environment is always something that I've been super passionate about, I knew that if I joined another pageant, I would still be advocating for the environment anyway, so why not stick to the pageant where that's the main cause?
Okay, so like what you said, you're here under the care of Pro Media, so we would like to acknowledge, of course, Sir Paul, the CEO of Pro Media, and of course, Ms. Jam, the CEO of the Bell Salon. So far as I know, you did attend an event already here in the Philippines. So can you tell us about the event that you attended? I know it's a pageant, so how was the experience?
So I got to go to Miss and Mr. Chinatown, and let me just say, even though it may have been comparatively a smaller one than to what I'll be going to on the International with Miss Earth, I was blown away with the production. In Australia, as I was saying, pageants aren't that big, we're more into sports. So being able to go to one and see the screens and the hosts and the glitz and the glamour got me super excited for the Miss Earth pageant that's coming up. And it was a really, really great experience. I remember sitting there as the music started and it was so loud you could feel it in your bones, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I'm so excited, I can't wait for the candidates to come out. I didn't know who any of them were at the stage, but I was excited. The energy was really great, so definitely one of my favorite moments so far.
Okay, so she already has an idea of what it's like to be in a pageant in the Philippines. So Sheridan, I will ask ahead of time. So in Australia, for your Miss Earth Australia organization, is it right that it's composed by a lot of Filipinos as well?
Yes, so the Filipino love for pageants extends even internationally. So we've got a great team, Miss Earth Australia, who are mainly all Filipinos, and so in a way that's really good because they truly care about the pageant and they know the values of the pageant, and so they're really able to do their best and help the candidate when they do go overseas to compete.
All right. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen of the press, feel free to raise your hand. Okay, okay, go ahead. Okay, so Sheridan, can you stand up before we ask the press, and you can introduce yourself? Say something about who you are, what you stand for, and why should we all root for you?
So hello, I've already given a fantastic introduction by JB, but again, I'm Sheridan Mortlock. I am Miss Earth Australia 2022, and I am very, very, very passionate about the environment. It is something that I've always grown up in. My family and I grew up in the country, and we were also very lucky enough to travel around the Australian countryside for 14 months living out of a camper trailer. So every day me and my two younger brothers wake up to a different beautiful Australian scenery. So it's always been something very close to my heart, which is why I am here to do Miss Earth, to promote more and to really get the message out about just how important and how topical climate change is and how much of an issue that it is that affects everybody internationally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that very beautiful introduction. So now let's call people from the press. Okay.
First question is from Jason.
Hello, good afternoon, Sheridan. This is Jason Cappuccino, Sashes and Scripts, and I just want to ask you about the issue of greenwashing among big brands, big international brands. What do you think is the solution to that kind of problem?
So greenwashing, for those of you watching who might not know what greenwashing is, it's basically when companies use green slogans and words to make themselves appear more sustainable than they actually are. And this is a problem because as consumers, we're always trying to make the right choice, and especially with people that care about climate change, they're looking out for those products that are saying they're green or environmentally friendly. But then if you're supporting them and then they're not, it's just a betrayal of trust to not only the consumer, but it makes you wary of other companies that are actually doing the right thing. So what needs to happen is there needs to be a protocol in place, either government legislation or a consumer law that states that you cannot use those words and use those acronyms and ideologies if you are not in fact true and sustainable. Much like the health star rating, I believe that there should be a sustainability star rating so that we actually know who we should support.
And that's why
Follow-up question with regards to greenwashing. Do you think that governments around the world should impose harsher punishment for brands and companies that do so?
I definitely think that they should take more control. As consumers already, we live very, very busy lives, right? And we don't have time every day to Google every single product in the supermarket or the mall. It shouldn't be up to us as the consumers to figure out whether a brand is lying to us or not. It should be stopped at the source so that we have no doubts and that we have trust and that we can fully support the brands that are doing good, because there are brands out there and it's fantastic. So yes, there should be, start from the top and go to the bottom.
Hi Sheridan, welcome to Manila. Okay, by the way, I'm Noli Perioso for OPMB Worldwide. I just want you to ask, in your opinion, what is the most significant environmental issue in the land down under that is widely ignored by its people?
Ironic that you asked that question, as this year's Miss Earth theme is fauna. Unfortunately, Australia has thousands and thousands of beautiful, beautiful fauna and flora that are endemic to the country. However, a lot of them are going extinct. Unfortunately, Australia's got one of the worst rating when it comes to protecting our animals. And so this even includes our Amos koala, who was recently hit very, very hard by our bushfires. And so what needs to be done is we just got a new government in, and they've just put in some new legislation to state that they're going to try and protect a certain amount of animals that are on the endangered and critically endangered list. So that's a great step in the right direction. We need more movements like this, where government is putting in legislation and funding to help protect the animals, because otherwise they'll just disappear one day and we'll never get them back.
Okay, just a follow-up. Okay, if you could invest money in your community regarding preservation of environment, how would you do it and why?
So I've sort of got two communities at the moment. So right now I'm living in Paddington, which is a suburb of the city of Sydney, and they're actually very green. It's very fantastic, the initiatives they're doing. However, in Jerilderie, where I grew up in the small country town, we really do need more environmental initiatives. And so one thing that I would hope that they would put funding into is supporting our farmers. Because even though farmers might get a bad rep because they're known as one of the most polluting industries, without them, we would starve. And I don't know about you guys, but I like food. So there are ways that farmers can produce agriculture much more sustainably, but what they need to do that is funding. Because already in Australia, our farmers are sort of on the back end. They've been hit by the climate change. They've been hit by fires, droughts, constant water being taken away from them. So they just need some funding and support to help that change in a more sustainable direction.
Good luck.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Salamat po.
Okay, there's a question. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Peter Pe from Critical Beauty Philippines. My question is for the organization and for you as well. My question is, Ma'am Joy and Sir Paul. Why did you choose Sheridan in Pro Media? And for Sheridan, why did you accept Pro Media? Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why did you choose Sheridan as one of your queens?
So what happened was I was asked by the organization, Miss Earth Australia, to judge, and it was only that was the first time I met Sheridan. By chance, I was the one who awarded her best in swimsuit, and as you know, with Pro Media, it's very important. Physique and fitness is very important. So I was one of the judges, and I was the one who awarded her best in swimsuit, and I also happened to be the one to give her the bouquet when she finally won. That was the first time I got to meet her, and then I left the city, went to Melbourne, and when I came back, we had a dinner with the org and with Sheridan. We just got to talking about how Pro Media can help. I think the MEA, Miss Earth Australia org, they know what Pro Media does here for beauty queens, for beauty pageants, that we've achieved a little bit of success in crowning, getting queens some crowns. So we talked about collaboration. Now, Australians and Filipinos, we're very similar in our, we're family oriented, we're warm. You will see this as you get to know Sheridan more, that she's very Filipino in terms of just being friendly and pleasant. And as mentioned earlier, the Miss Earth Australia org is mostly Filipino, and the pageant they are supported by Filipino Australian businessmen. It's a Filipino community supporting the pageant because the Philippines is a powerhouse in the world, but in Australia they're the ones who are really active in running the pageant. So that's how it started. The reason why we're supporting her is because look at her. Number one, she's beautiful, she's fit, but aside from that, she's intelligent, she's passionate about the environment, for real, not for the pageant, but with or without this pageant, she will be doing what she needs to do to preserve the environment. That's precisely the reason why she wants to be a politician, to make a change related to the environment. So, Pro Media, we love the passion, we love the sincerity, and we love the holistic beauty that we see with Sheridan. And that's why we are here to support her.
Alright, thank you, Sir Paul. And perhaps I would like to add to what Sir Paul, in behalf of Pro Media, we all know that Pro Media is here to really support women who really want to win the crown. So another reason why we are supporting Sheridan, although she's Miss Australia, number one, we know that the Philippine pageant community is very big. Knowing that they are the people behind the Miss Earth Australia organization, of course, as Filipinos, we would like to extend that support to anyone who we feel deserves to win the crown. Alright, and at the same time, I personally, as her Q&A coach, I got to know Sheridan. We already had our Filipino culture training, and I'm confident that she is somehow already very familiar with our culture. Okay? Alright, do you guys have any additional questions?
Yes.
Yes, question.
More on a personal note. This is your... How many times have you joined Miss Third? Continuously?
I had a break
When was the break?
So I
Last year?
Yes, last year.
Okay. So you have already answered that you chose Miss Earth because of your advocacies and things like that. And Mr. Paul have mentioned that you have all the things that we think will make you win. But what is that one thing that you think that you still need to do to ensure that you really win the first Miss Earth crown for Australia?
That is an excellent question, thank you.
Hope you have an excellent answer.
She has.
Definitely something that I need to work on, and actually it occurred during the Miss Earth Australia pageant that just occurred, was with the question and answer segment. I find sometimes I have too much to say, and so sticking to that 30-second time limit is quite a challenge, because knowing so much and being able to study it, you really get a good understanding of not just the surface level, but everything that occurs around it and influences around it. So trying to fit all of that into a 30-second answer to get that point across is definitely something that I'm working on, and I'm sure that we'll smash it.
And how is it so far?
It's excellent so far. Been an excellent coach right here, so it's just about getting to the point and making a strong impact.
Yes.
And very memorable answer.
And also I'd like to emphasize, we just finished with Chelsea. She got head-to-head, so I think I'm just going to transfer that to her.
Hopefully she'll win.
The next question is from Mike Francisco.
So the one after partners.
I think many of us asking about your advocacy, and the acronym of your advocacy is ACE. Can you tell us more about it so that the other media will know about your advocacy? Go ahead.
Absolutely, thank you. So my advocacy this year is based on the acronym ACE, which is Action, Care and Education. And the reason that I've picked this acronym and such a broad sort of, thank you, a broad advocacy is that there is a lot that needs to be done, and just focusing on water conservation, for example, or just air pollution, they're all sort of interconnected, like the ocean sucks out CO2 from the atmosphere, just like trees, and that harms the water, etc. So with my advocacy, I really sort of wanted to hit everything in one go. So with action, it's all about taking action. It's probably one of the most important aspects, because if we don't do anything, if we don't speak up, if we don't enact change, then it will only continue to get worse. Care is a really special one, because care is all about loving the environment and connecting with nature. Because if you are disconnected from something, then how can you care for it? Which is, for example, why zoos are so great, because you get to see the animal in real life. It makes you actually care about the animal. So much like the animal, we need to connect with nature and remember to love nature and respect it and where we've come from, and that we rely on it. And then education is the last one. And education is knowing what the consequences of our actions might be, knowing what the possibilities are, and knowing also how we have come to be here. And it is only by using all three of them in conjunction that we can make sustainable and substantial work towards the climate change efforts.
May follow-up question.
Follow-up question. What is the treatment of your organization in Sydney?
What is as in how do they treat me or how I treat them?
The treatment.
Oh, the treatment? They've been great. They've been very supportive, They did everything they could to send me over here so that I could train with Pro Media early, which I'm very, very grateful for. And so, I know that they have my back and they just want the best for me.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Next question is for Jay Pata.
Hello, Sheridan. Hi, I'm Jay Pata from Malaya Business Insight. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You look like many pageant fans say you look like Taylor Swift, and it just so happened that your chosen fauna is the Swift parrot, fastest parrot in the world, the fastest flying parrot in the world. So, could you tell me about more of why you chose the Swift parrot, and at the same time the other fauna or other species in Australia that are also endangered?
Absolutely, thank you very much. Well, yes, good job pointing out that I did pick the swift parrot as my fauna, and this was on purpose due to my resemblance to Taylor Swift.
Really?
Really, yes, I did pick it because of that. But that's not the only reason. The main reason is that they are very, very, very critically endangered. In fact, I've got a swift parrot on my pin right here, which I got from a little local shop in Tasmania, which is where they're based. And the swift parrots are critically endangered. There's only about 750 left, and there's sort of no big government plans at the moment to really help them, and they could become extinct within the next 10 years. So the timing is crucial. And then it sort of lined up perfectly because I'm like, okay, if people remember that I look like Taylor Swift, hopefully they'll remember my fauna, the swift parrot. So I wanted to create that connection so that people would remember it, so that we could spread the word about this bird, because it is only with lots and lots of voices speaking up that we might be able to protect this little guy.
Alright, and just to set the record straight, do you love Taylor Swift?
She is my favorite artist.
Can you sing like Taylor Swift? Can you give us a sample? Go.
Unfortunately, you know, Taylor Swift has sort of ahead of me with years of training, but I will be singing for my talent, so stay tuned for that.
We'll wait for that.
Sheridan, I have one more question.
Absolutely.
With so much ahead of you, with so much that you've been doing, you're a double degree, you're pursuing 2 degrees actually. So my question is, who is Sheridan? Who is Sheridan 10 years from now?
10 years from now, you know, if we're speaking ambitiously, Prime Minister of Australia. Thank you. But no, seriously, I would, after I finish my degree, so I've still got 2 more years of full-time study to go, which I'm very excited to get back to also. I do want to get into politics basically straight away, because time is of the essence for climate change, which is also why I'm doing this Earth right now, right here, because this door of opportunity opened up to me, and I'm like, this is excellent, this is exactly on my life path, I'm going to grab it by the horns and run, because you just can't, you know, maybe 50 years ago we could have spent more time to try and fix it, but now we really must take action. And so 10 years from now, hopefully, I'll be Prime Minister of Australia. I would have enacted excellent environmental legislation so that Australia is on track to meeting all of its international obligations, and hopefully this would have influenced other countries to do the same.
Another question from Gilbert.
Prime Minister Sheridan Mortlock. Sounds good.
The most beautiful Prime Minister 10 years from now.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Sheridan. My name is Kim from the Daily Tribune. So, how are you going?
I am great, thank you. Kamusta ka?
I'm doing good, thank you. All right. I want to visit Australia. So there are 8 states in Australia. Say I'm visiting Northern Territory and Tasmania. Where will you take me?
This is an excellent question to ask me, as I've been to these places. So Northern Territory, you definitely have to go and check out the crocodiles. I know that they're a bit scary, but they're just such a beautiful, gorgeous animal. So I definitely go on tour there, go on the rivers, and just see, you know, it's such a different experience. Everyone's sitting there on the boats and they're so quiet, waiting to see, oh my gosh, where's the crocodile going to be? Are we going to die? No, we don't die. But it's very beautiful to see it, so definitely that. And in Tasmania, there were so many beautiful, beautiful waterfalls in Tasmania. In fact, I nearly got waterfalled out with my family, like, another waterfall, really? You know? But they're very, truly gorgeous. Tasmania has one of the most gorgeous landscapes. It's very, very green now, but it's very cold, so take a jacket.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have one more question. So, where do you want to go to the Philippines?
Oh, I would really like to go to Boracay. I see it's very beautiful. So maybe after the pageant, I'll get to nip over there for a little vacation.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question just to follow up. Okay, can you tell them something that's completely unique about you? Since you're talking about Australia and travel, what's that one thing that's completely unique about you?
Well, something that I can do that I've not met many other people that can do it is I can clap one-handed.
Clap one-handed.
Yeah, which Would you like a demonstration?
Yeah. One moment.
I can.
Can anybody do it in this room? Yeah.
Louder, please, louder.
So, Sheridan, just to follow up, you said that when you were younger, you traveled, like, with your family. Can you tell them about it?
Absolutely. So when Adam trying. When I traveled with my family, so my two younger brothers and I, and my mum and dad, we lived in Melbourne at the time, and we packed up our bags. My mum and dad quit their jobs, and we rented out our house, and we packed everything into a camping trailer. And so what we did was my brothers and I were homeschooled, and we travelled around. We started in Tasmania, and then we worked all the way around. And so this really allowed me, I didn't realise it at the time, I feel like, respect it at the time, but it truly allowed me to see just how diverse and beautiful Australia's landscapes are, because we are truly one of the most diverse countries. We're very, very large. We've got deserts, wetlands, tropics, like the list goes on. And so to be able to wake up every morning, as I mentioned before, and just see a different environment and also just different communities, it was so eye-opening, especially as I was so young. And, being able to look back at it now as I'm older, that experience was truly very unique and very rare. And I don't know many people that got to do that, got to travel their own country. As Australians, we usually love going elsewhere. We're notoriously known for backpacking through Europe and Asia. so to be able to actually do my own country was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and hopefully I'll get to do it again now that I'm older, maybe when I have kids.
All right. So she's practically a wild thornberry. You are familiar with that show. Yes. All right, next question.
Hi, Sheridan. Welcome to the Philippines and mabuhay. This is Jay from Pageantry. I have a question for you. First question is, aside from winning the Miss Earth crown, what would you like to achieve in your life? What would you like to achieve in your life?
Prime Minister of Australia.
Thank you very much for your question. So after winning Miss Earth 2022, I will. So that itself will be a very memorable experience, and hopefully whoever does that gets to enjoy that year of going around with the organisation and volunteering. And so after that, I would like to finish my degree, graduate, start, going into hopefully local politics, but firstly starting with my community and, continuing to volunteer there and, get more involved. After I study, I'll have more time to get more involved with the wildlife rescue organisation, which I'm with at the moment, called WIRES. And so really, they're always looking for more people, especially if climate change keeps getting worse. We'll have more fires, which is something that seriously wipes out a lot of our fauna. And then after that, again, Prime Minister, and I just don't know if you can top that. Thank you.
All right, another follow-up question. If you were going to create a slogan of Miss Earth relating to this year's theme, what would it be and why?
If I was to make a what?
A slogan.
A slogan. Oh, this year's theme. Fauna this year, so I'd probably say, I like acronyms and I like alliteration, so I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. Maybe Fight for Fauna. Fight for Fauna 2022.
Wow. Slogan in a few seconds, guys.
My political campaign would be great, right?
Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, Sheridan. I am Tita Lavinia of Titas of Pageantry. And you have a lot of fans on our page. You have a lot of fans in this live. So they've been, of course, saying that you look like Taylor Swift. I've been taking your videos on this angle so people really understand you look like Taylor Swift. But my question for you is this. Recently, there have been a number of environmental activists who have gone on rounds at galleries and museums, throwing away like soups or like tomato sauce on very expensive paintings. How do you feel about this? Because there are groups who say that things have to be done, but to the extreme, while others are saying these are mere vandals. Where are we when it comes to bringing our message out there for the environment?
Thank you very much. That's a very topical question. I remember watching that and being like, what is going on? But my opinions of it is, we've got to be careful with big things like that and stints like that, because sometimes, it's not actually the environmental activists that it's coming from, it's somebody else that might be trying to make them look bad. But also, just like with any group that's trying to do better with the world, such as feminism, there's always going to be those on the very extreme side and then those that aren't moving at all. And what we have to try and focus on is just the overall message and what it is that we're trying to convey. So as environmental activism, I don't agree that the soup throwing incident was a great way to convey that, because all that does is make people angry. What we need to do is just show them already the destruction that's happening in the environment and let them get angry at that, because that is what they should be focusing on. Throwing things at a painting of flowers or a painting isn't getting the message across. We just need to show videos, we need to show the destruction that is happening, because that should get people mad enough and that should light a fire under our bellies.
If I may have another question. So you're coming here, you're one of the earliest girls to arrive. You mentioned that you arrived around the 28th or the 29th. So I'm not so sure if you have checked the news, checked social media, but the Philippines is actually under immense amount of stress right after the strong typhoon that hit us. It's all over the news. A lot of areas in the Philippines are still underwater. How do you feel about this? I mean, you're competing at Miss Earth. This is the perfect platform to talk about the environment, and you are in the Philippines. You're seeing firsthand how it affects us. How do you feel about this?
It's nearly ironic that it's happening, and I'm very, very saddened that it is, and I'm sending out all my love and support, and I'm hoping that those people that have been affected are getting the support that they need. But it really is a great example, really, of just how bad and how negative climate change impacts can have on people. Things like this will still keep happening. I know in Belize also, just maybe yesterday or this morning, there was another hurricane there which totally wiped out a lot of villages. And so these things will continue to happen unless we all rally together and work together as a team and, enact action, because unfortunately it will only get worse unless we do something now.
Thank you. Good luck.
The Philippines. I'm Carmen Medina from the financial capital of the country, Makati City. Hi Sheridan. Australia has had quite a run in Miss Earth from 2015 to 2017 with 2 Miss Earth Air title holders and 1 top 16 finisher. But after that, Australian representative did not enter the first cut. Will you break that?
Well, they say third time's the charm, right? So, third time the charm for Miss Earth Australia, third time the charm for Miss Earth International.
Okay, were you able to speak with the former title holders?
Yes, so I've been able to speak mostly because they're also based in Sydney where I am, to Monique Shipp and Susanna Downs and Brittany Dixon, and they have been very helpful and supportive, and they're always there. I need to ask, wait, so how much sleep do we get again each day? 4 hours? Oh my gosh, but they've been very helpful and they've been able to give me their wisdom and tips.
Okay, the best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Next is Ezel.
Ezel by Fanatics. Hi, Sheridan. I just want to ask, you're surrounded with Filipinos. Will you be dressed by Filipino designer?
I will be dressed by a Filipino designer, but I won't let you know anything else. Yeah. But thank you. There's so much talent here, so we've got to tap into it.
Thank you.
Hi, mate. Good afternoon. Good day, So, my question is, who is your favorite Miss Earth and why?
I really enjoyed watching Lindsay Coffey as she, did it, because I feel like she is what I want to be, really. She's very, very beautiful, but she's very, very articulate and intelligent. And she, to me, was a big standout, because I remember watching it on Zoom with everybody else, and like, damn, this girl is strong. So hopefully, I will be just as strong and maybe bring home the crown for Australia as well.
Last question. If given a chance to live in Australia, which do you prefer? Brisbane, Sydney, or Tasmania?
I do quite love my city of Sydney at the moment. I've been working there now for a bit over 3 years doing modelling and retail, and I'm really getting to know the city, and there's nothing quite like being able to walk around without a map and just know, oh, there's my local coffee shop, and oh yeah, I know this street and feel like a local. It really feels like you're connected. Thank you.
Sheridan, I just want to ask, you've seen your co-candidates via Zoom. Who are you excited to meet? Which candidate?
Well, I'm excited to meet everybody because, you never really know somebody until you meet them in person, I reckon. But I'm very excited to meet Miss Korea and Miss Japan and Miss Cuba and, of course, Miss Philippines.
Next question.
Here. Hi, Sheridan. My question for you is, my name is Ferdinand from Eventology. My question for you is, what has been the significant project that you have done since winning Miss Earth Australia that is for the environment?
Thank you very much. Well, unfortunately, I only had about a month and a half, but in that time I was lucky enough to organise a meet with WIRES, who again is the Rescue Wildlife Volunteer Organisation in New South Wales. And what I got to do is I got to go to one of their koala rehabilitation sectors in Western Sydney, and we got to meet a koala there called Molly, who was very, very sick with chlamydia when they found her, and chlamydia is a really big disease in the koala population. And so what I've done is I've filmed a video with Morgan, who was the WIRES volunteer, and Molly. And hopefully Miss Earth will be releasing that very soon, as it's one of my eco posts, but I've also got an extended cut. So after you watch the 45-second video, please watch my video on my Instagram page, as I'll have a call to action there, because even though the swift parrot is my fauna and I'm very passionate about it, our koalas are just such an iconic animal that we really need international pressure to get behind and rally for, so that our government starts to listen.
You are now part of the Miss Earth Australia organization. What do you think is the most significant project that the organization have done that has truly made an impact with the environment in your country?
While we've done a lot of tree plantings and we've done a lot of litter pickups, I think the fact that it just exists in Australia is quite significant, because every candidate that we get is fighting for, global sustainability in their own community sectors. And as I mentioned before, pageants aren't very big there, and we're very sports. We like AFL, we like rugby, and so being able to have a platform for people in Australia to, young girls and, females everywhere to get on a stage and speak about something that they're passionate about, because a lot of Australians are very passionate about our environment and we do care and love for it. So to give them a platform and a stage to amplify their voices is such a great initiative already.
Alright, let me ask Sheridan a question. I just want to break the series of questions. Okay, here's my question. Since I trained Nana, Miss Earth Philippines last year, she placed top 8. And I helped Marissa Butler, she was Miss Earth Air last year. My question is, do you feel any pressure right now?
It's impossible not to feel pressure, but you can either break under that pressure or you can go even further. And so I'm taking that pressure full on and going with it, and I know that working together with a team around me who is so supportive, that we can go very, very far.
Hi, good afternoon, Sheridan. First one here from Pageantry, Philippines. Alright, so recently we've been experiencing a lot of natural calamities, especially here in the Philippines, which is very relevant to us, right? What do you think is the world leaders doing for this natural calamities and saving the endangered species that we have here on Earth?
Well, I think that every country approaches it a little bit differently, and that's just down to the political atmosphere happening there, and what sort of animals that you've got in your country. But I think that what every country should try to be doing is working together, and even though that's a big ask, it's something that has to happen. They don't have to agree on everything, but they just have to agree enough that they need to protect the environment and the fauna, because again, that fauna is very important to our ecosystems and our biodiversity, and if we lose even one, monument is like dominoes fall and they change a lot of other things. So hopefully we can all rally together in our own countries as well as internationally and really ask our government to protect our fauna, big and small.
Should you be given an opportunity to sit with these world leaders, so what would you offer to them that can benefit the Earth?
So what can I offer to them personally?
To the world leaders.
Oh,
to the world leaders.
Yeah. So I think that what I would say to the world leaders is, sometimes when you're very busy as a world leader and you don't really have a lot of chance to be able to reconnect with nature, which is why care is such a big part of my advocacy, because if you're lacking that connect, then it's very easy to forget about it. We're in a big building right now, but you wouldn't know if it's raining or sunny or outside, there's no plants. And so to be able to make the world leaders, I feel like they'd have to, I'd say to them, once a week, or if you could, once a day, just go into nature, go into your local community, whatever country you may be from, and just connect with nature and the community there. Because then they would feel motivated enough, hopefully, if they have a heart, to try and save what they are surrounded with. So definitely that would be my advice to them.
Hi Sheridan, I'm RJ Ignacio and nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
I only have one question and I just want to get your point of view. More than 2.29 billion cows, calves, buffaloes, pigs and goats are killed each year for their skins globally. Other animals such as deer, zebras, seals, sheep, alligators, snakes, sharks, cats, and dogs are brutally slaughtered to produce leather. My question is, as Miss Earth 2022, yes, we claim it, is it time to give up leather? Why or why not?
Thank you, and thank you for the preemptive win there. Leather and meat goods are such a complicated issue. It can seem very black and white. Just stop eating meat, stop using leather goods. But sometimes it's got a cultural significance and cultural meaning. So, while yes, I do believe that we should stop leather production for purely superficial reasons, I think that there should be some leeway granted to cultures where that's very much ingrained into what they do and how they've always done things, because they're not harming the billions and billions of animals that are happening. It would be much, much smaller. Things aren't black and white, there's always shades of grey. And so the problem here is the overconsumption. So if we need to dial back and look at what's important and figure out why exactly we're consuming these products or eating these goods and reevaluate from there.
Ang galing naman, ang galing.
Hi, Sheridan.
Thank you.
I'm here. The questions from the Philippine media are so serious. So, is Sheridan single or taken?
Ferdy, are you interested?
I am taken. Sorry.
Yeah. But how do you find Filipino men? You've been around here.
Beautiful men everywhere. Yeah. I believe everywhere you go, there's always beauty. But what I love the most about the Philippines is the friendly nature of you all. Everywhere I go, smiles and smiles. Hits me.
The question is just to break the ice.
Thank you. I'm so serious. Like, I feel like I'm already in the political beginnings. Okay.
Next question is from the proud Philippines, Christian Bailey.
Hey, Sheridan.
No serious question, ah.
No, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go back to the serious question.
That's so good.
So aside from your project, ACE project, what is one eco best practice that you'd like to be mirrored to other countries and that you're going to promote as well? When you win this.
Thank you very much for the question. So one of the biggest things I believe is the discontinued use of unnecessary single-use plastics. Now I say unnecessary because hospitals and medical practitioners should still be able to use them for health and sanitary reasons, but I'm talking about the unnecessary plastic that you get with maybe your knife and fork, or when you're going out to dinner or ordering takeaway. We can cut back on that or use sustainable alternatives. I know in some countries they're already reincorporating banana leaf to wrap things. You know, at the grocery store, we don't need plastic wrapped capsicums or plastic wrapped bananas. The bananas come in their own casing. So that is what I would hope would spread out. I know Australia's already started doing that, which is fantastic, and hopefully it will continue to the rest of the world.
Hi, Taylor Swift.
Hi.
Taylor Swift.
I'm gonna ask not so serious question, but still relevant. Yeah, make that controversial. Because as we all know, Miss Earth has been going virtual for the past 3 years already. And for most of the pageant fans around the world, it kind of diminishes the value of the pageant, knowing that everything is being done virtual. Now that this edition is resuming the traditional format, how could you encourage pageant fans, not just in the Philippines but around the world, to rally their support behind this international pageant?
Thank you very much. Well, Miss Earth, I believe, I might be biased because I'm competing in it, is the most relevant pageant at the moment. There's so many issues in the world at the moment, but if our environment and if our Earth continues to degrade at the rate it is, then it'll all be for naught. So all we have to do is we have to make sure our foundations are strong with the Earth before we can, do everything else. And so with Earth, with it being on Zoom, I understand that it's not as interesting or entertaining.
Yes.
I must say I quite enjoyed this hybrid one though, because it meant that we didn't have to bring over our big national costumes and things like that, which saves on airfare, which is great for the environment. So I hope that they continue that next year as well. But I think to try and get people, to rally support for Miss Earth is, it's a big pageant. It's one of the top 4 pageants, and it being on Zoom, it doesn't take away from the message. The Miss Earth pageants has always been about the message and the advocacies and what we're bringing to the table in terms of change. And so I hope people will continue to see that and they recognise the importance of this pageant, even if it is on Zoom. But now we're back in person, I'm hoping that, again, caring and connecting with the people and with the environment that you're in does matter. And I'm hoping that having it back in person this year, people will care and connect again.
Thank you.
So we know that the tagline for Miss Earth is beauty for a cause. What can you say about that slogan?
I love beauty for a cause. I think it's a great slogan because, a friend of mine told me that with beauty, you grab their attention with the beauty. They're like, oh, what's that? A beautiful flower. A beautiful food, whatever your favorite food is, a beautiful person. And then what you do with that, you tune them in and then you make them listen to what you have to say. There's a cause. It's like a painting or something in a gallery, if you're looking at it and then there's a message behind it, it will hit you more because you're already cared and connected with it. So I think Beauty for Cause is a great slogan because it makes people listen. It tunes people into something they might not have otherwise done.
Sheridan, question again here. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself. Tristan from TPP, the Philippine Pageantry. Connected to what Adam has asked, for voices, not just in Miss Earth, but also for other international pageants. Does Miss Earth needs to join the noise to be noticed, Adam? Or
Shout it out to the world so that next year the world is listening.
and as a suggestion, when somebody asked you about the slogan earlier, I suggest that you, well, this is just an idea. It's face the problem. That's a good slogan because F is for FODA, then your action, care, and education. Face the problem.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Thank you, Syempre, TPP yan.
All right.